How would you feel if I'm your wife? Or okay, pause. I'm a guy. How would you feel if how would you feel if I basically was going out with you, right? Pause. And we're smash that like button and subscribe, hit that bell. All right, guys, what's good? This is SonicSol here with another video. This time I wanted to go ahead and watch a technicals video on Infiltration. Infiltration is a very like old school, well now he is, because I mean back in my time, Street Fighter 4, he was one of the greatest players of all time. Technicals made an Infiltration video just talking about everything that happened with him and whether or not some of the stuff was true or not. I will say, like, it obviously came out in a court of law that what he did happen. I'm not sure of all the details, and obviously there's some other like little tidbits within the law that I saw that was like the private investigator stuff. That stuff really was interesting to me because back in 2018 the laws weren't the same for that, where you could have a private investigator, at least in South Korea. But I don't know, I'm not a South Korean lawyer or anything like that, but stuff like that really interests me, and I wonder if Technicals picked up on it and a couple of other stuff too, because I do like Infiltration as a player. I think he's a very strong player, and I do like seeing him compete, but obviously the scandal that has occurred made it very hard to watch him. And so I guess the disclaimer I want to put in this video before I start watching it is like, you know, come to your own conclusions and think critically about the situation. I think that's the thing I like about watching technical documentaries or technical videos, is that it is critical. While comedic, it is very critical of a lot of the information that comes out about the community. And so I'm very, very much on board and in support of making sure that everything is found critically, and you know, people get their actual like justice. Anyway, let's go ahead and watch this.
Today we're investigating Infiltration.
Yes.
A Street Fighter player who's been barred from competition since allegations of domestic violence, tournament rigging, and racism arose in quick succession starting over half a decade ago. Well, I'd love to jump right in and tell you all about him. All I can think about is busting out of here.
What is this skit?
4 walls, a jumpsuit, and 3 square meals a day. Well, let's just say the DA's a juryman, and I'm not too fond of impromptu foot massages.
Hey, keep it down in there.
You wear open-toe shoes once, and all of a sudden, I'm the bad guy for flash kicking the creep. It's ridiculous.
Street Fighter jokes.
Oh, sorry. I forgot I had on my Raycon's active noise.
Oh, it's a sponsorship, Skip.
The first came right before the Capcom Pro Tour event at the Tokyo Game Show in 2018, where news of damaging allegations reached Infiltration through his manager David Wu at Panda Global. Materials containing malicious content about you are being spread throughout online communities around the world. You must quickly hurry back to Korea and resolve this matter. Panda Global would then announce Infiltration's withdrawal from the event in lieu of an investigation into the claims made by the Redditor criminal Siam-Woo Lee, which is Infiltration's real name, minus the criminal part, obviously. For the Western audience, this was the first time hearing of such a thing, but these whispers had been circling Korean and Japanese forums months prior.
Yeah.
Writing chiefly pertained to domestic violence, fraud, and destruction of property. More specifically, the user would claim that Infiltration, quote, snatched his ex-wife's phone, choked her to near death, and dragged her out of the apartment. They also claim that after his ex-wife won the criminal case that he hid his assets under someone else's name in order to not pay the compensation of 20 million won, or 20,000 USD, from the criminal trial.
Wait a minute. So some random Redditor basically made the post in 2018 that Infiltration was a quote-unquote wife beater, cheating on her with many other women. Let me read this. Yeah, he beat his ex-wife, all that. Bro, this is like, seeing a Reddit post of this, you want to basically like vet it. You don't just want to like believe it. You want to vet it. You know, they provided proof. They provided a lot of like documents and stuff on the matter. But 20,000 USD, bro? It's a lot of money.
Committed fraud against his sponsor Razer by fabricating expense reports, and that he came to her apartment again after the initial restraining order ended and started destroying her stuff and beat her again. Provided alongside these claims are 2 case numbers in Korean, a partial audio transcript of the domestic dispute, and a tweet from his ex-wife that has since been deleted to avoid legal retaliation, where she mentions that she won the criminal case and was starting the civil case for compensation. Unlike in the United States, South Korea actually has laws against defaming people, even if the defamation in question is the truth.
That's crazy. If defamation is done, even if what it said is true, like, it's still considered defamation? That's so weird.
Seems kind of fucked up, but
Yeah.
that's a story for another day. 2 months after the suspension from Capcom events by Panda Global,
Oh man, Panda Global. The whole Smash Bros thing that happened with Panda Global. Even though Panda Global, like, took out Infiltration, they still ended up, like, oh man. And Panda Global was such a good organization, too, in terms of, like, sponsoring players. Damn, that's... I remember COVID was, like, a hype time for Panda Global.
comprehensive summary of their findings would be posted to Twitter, YouTube, and across all of the relevant subreddits.
Too bad their CEO is a piece of shit.
Made a series of allegations against our Street Fighter player Infiltration, both through private emails and Reddit.
In it, they state that information had been submitted by Infiltration upon request, and that the anonymous leaker sent an audio recording of the alleged beating via email, but that according to their Korean legal counsel, disseminating this would be a bad idea. That's to be expected, but unfortunately, it also means it wasn't possible for me to get my hands on. They also stated that all translated documents had been sent to both Panda Global and Capcom for review. After the introduction, we're given a complete timeline of events and a rebuttal to the claims made in both the original Reddit post and the email sent to Panda Global's team. Now,
I remember this tweet. There was a tweet by Panda Global that broke down the situation. From that point, it was kind of confirmed that, like, he did what he did.
This is where things start to get a little confusing. I could read you their summary like everyone else and call it a day, but that wouldn't sit quite right with me. After all, who would blindly trust an esports organization to give them an accurate criminal investigation?
That's the thing about online, right? Why is the community and like esports organizations, why are they like the end all be all when it comes to legal proceedings? It should be going to authorities and not like straight up esport orgs or like online people or whatever, because that's not really where you want to go. You want to actually go to like authorities to handle the situation rather than just like on the internet. But for some reason we continue to do that. We continue to just constantly just be like, yo, we're gonna snitch on this person to like their organization or whatever, rather than like snitching to like the actual cops, the people that can actually do something. You know, I'll never understand that about internet culture.
Since July, I've been in close contact with Infiltration. However, he would not return my messages starting in August. Just when I thought he might have been ghosting me, I learned that this was due to the production of his own video where he'd outlined the details of his case and
Yeah, I remember seeing this video on my feed. I remember seeing this and it kind of went into detail as to like how things were set up against Infiltration. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't watch the whole thing. So that's why I'm watching the technicals video. In the video just now, they mentioned authorities were like part of it. They mentioned like the authorities came through and did everything. But what I remember was hearing the private investigator part, and I'm like, that doesn't sit right with me. You know, like, how do you have a private investigator with all this stuff?
In it, he'd reveal text messages with his ex-wife, court documents across several cases, and even the identity of the Reddit user criminal Sean-Woo Lee, who released the audio transcripts, case numbers, and surprisingly had access to the actual audio recording of the domestic dispute. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Yes, Infiltration was charged with violence against his wife. That is an indisputable fact, and the charge is well documented. The audio transcript provided by the Redditor of the altercation on October 22nd, 2017 is also pretty damning. To give you a few excerpts from the leaks: "Give me what's mine," referring to her phone. "Hey, if you use force, it's at your disadvantage, so just stay still. Ah, don't do it. Don't choke. Blank, it really hurts. It really hurts, so don't do it. Dude, assess your situation carefully. You fucking want to get your bones broken right now."
Bro. Yo. Okay. That, if you were to read that, which is the stuff that came out, you would just immediately be like, yo, he did it. Based on the charge, right? Like he did put hands on her. He only got a fucking $630 fine. Nah. Shit don't add up. You would think like if you put hands on somebody to the effect that they were talking in that voice chat or in the phone call, you would think like, okay, no, they definitely have to like lock him up, you know? Like getting a fine. No, but even South Korean justice system, they wouldn't play with something like that. They wouldn't play with something like that. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, I only know the American justice system. I don't know about South Korea. So
out of a maximum of 5 million won, or 4,500, and only got charged with a crime of violence if he choked her to near death, beat her in front of the cops, and there's a mountain of evidence to prove it.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. The whole choking her to near death, how can you have a whole conversation with somebody and choke them at the same time? I'm just curious, right? Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm thinking, right? How is this person saying, like, how are they saying it, but they're getting choked to near death to like near unconsciousness, right? I don't understand how that works. Something like that doesn't add up with me. Between being able to talk and also the small fine instead of the actual, like, there's got to be something doesn't add up here.
Now that might sound confusing from a Western view of the legal system, but because Korea has so many problems with domestic violence, the law is actually far more specific when it comes to these cases.
Okay.
Let me show you what I mean. If you read the summary report of the verdict, Infiltration was charged with violating Article 260 of the Criminal Act in the Republic of Korea. What's even more interesting is that in this article, if the victim chooses not to prosecute the crime, the whole thing gets thrown away, which is something she actually offered to do on November 2nd in DMs, by stating that she wouldn't go to the detective's office and instead would reconcile through family.
Oh, so she just would have just let the shit just go.
But, and this is very important, the victim cannot object to prosecution in cases involving bodily injury, which are entirely different articles and charges.
So if injury happened, then she can't be like, no, I'm just gonna, if actual injury occurred, then it doesn't matter what she says. They have to do it. Okay.
Meaning that for Article 260, you don't actually...
Oh, he's actually going over the Korean law. Okay. I respect it. I respect the technicals. He's actually going over the Korean law.
Entirely different articles and charges. Meaning that for Article 260, you don't actually need to harm someone to be charged, but the threat of violence, or simple physical contact, could be designated as simple violence, as opposed to special violence, which would involve a weapon, or violence that actually results in bodily injury. For example, anything resulting in scars, bruises, broken bones or teeth, loss of consciousness, hair loss, etc. That would fall under Article 257, inflicting bodily injury on other or on lineal ascendant, which is like a grandparent or parent. A person who inflicts a bodily injury upon another shall be punished by imprisonment for not more than 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. If I actually like hurt you in any way that like inflicted bodily injury, or like I actually, if I actually choked you out or whatever, you would be in prison.
Suspension of qualifications for not more than 10 years, or by a fine not exceeding 10 million won. That would already double the fines from before. That's just for bodily injury. The more severe charge is Article 258 for aggravated bodily injury. A person who inflicts bodily injury upon another, thereby endangering one's life, shall be punished by imprisonment for at least 1 year up to
10 years. Yeah, bro, like that would definitely be like a felony charge over here too. Like, nah. You would definitely get locked up if you actually did the crimes that were talked about in there. But he just got a fine. What the fuck?
There's not even a possibility for a fine here. And this is the exact article, given the Redditor's explanation, if accurate, that I had assumed he'd be charged with. If he was in fact beating her for an hour, dragged her in front of the condo security,
and then beat her more,
continued beating her into attempted unconsciousness in front of police, and she won the criminal case with the proofs provided, like the email sent to Panda Global suggests, there's no fucking way they wouldn't have charged him with bodily injury.
Yeah, 1000%. He should be locked the fuck up. But why did he just get a fucking fine? That means the story... Bro. Bro, that means... Oh man, he just got charged. Bro, he's a wife beater. And it's just like... But he didn't actually do the things that were expressed in that Reddit post.
However, in a shocking turn of events, she was diagnosed with contusions, which are bruises for the uninformed, across her body, and inflammation to the wrist.
So bruises on her body and wrist?
For for the uninformed, across her body, and inflammation to the wrist a day later. Yet this didn't elevate the charges. Why? Well, surprisingly, according to her attorney, they never actually submitted this as evidence to the police.
Oh. So because the evidence wasn't there, they couldn't use it.
Seems a little odd to me. These people are either unknowingly celebrating a verdict they don't believe in, the Korean police are incompetent and really did give Infiltration a plea deal in spite of her injuries, or someone is not being entirely truthful, resulting in lesser charges.
Bro, the fact that the police didn't get any of these injuries as evidence.
Attorney, they never actually submitted this as evidence to the police, nor did they submit the recording. That seems a little odd to me. These people are either unknowingly celebrating a verdict.
Yeah, it's literally like, it's either some form of negligence or someone's straight up lying.
Don't believe in. The Korean police are incompetent and really did give Infiltration a plea deal in spite of her injuries, or someone is not being entirely truthful, resulting in lesser charges. Yeah, I personally always consider lying to be far more plausible and exciting, but even that may still be up for debate. Who knows? If you couldn't tell, I'm not Korean, and therefore lack the home field advantage. But let's see what Panda Global had to say first. Look, Panda Global had access to the complete translated transcript from their incident report. Turns out, the excerpt from our leaker started 5 pages after the beginning of the recording and is only 7 random pages out of a total of 22.
No fucking way, bro. No way, dude. No way that the Reddit poster only posted a fraction of what was actually in the document. Why didn't they post the whole document?
Panda Global highlighted 3 interactions they found the most important. The source of their conflict being a divorce, both Infiltration and his ex-wife threatening to report each other for assault. You report, I report. Let each of us report. Dude, you're reporting me for assaulting someone when I never did. Fucking dick. You didn't do anything. Isn't this assault? If I report you, you report me too. I told you I would report you. You report me too. If you report me, I will report you too. And blank, I will go to the police no matter what. And another line from Infiltration that stated, how can you accuse me of assault if there was no violence? Panda Global goes on to illuminate how Miss X told him she would call them back after the police left the first time peacefully without intervention and accuse him of assault. There's even a part where she says if she got her phone back, she wouldn't report it to the police. This followed a heated argument over the purchase of a dishwasher when his ex-wife used his credit card without his consent.
Bruh. Yo, I would be livid. I would be livid if my girl basically took my card and bought something without me knowing. Why would you do that? I would be livid. Nah, I mean, I wouldn't put my hands on nobody unless they put their hands on me first. I would be pissed if you just took my money without asking and then just went and bought something. Like, why? I don't blame Infiltration for being mad, but putting your hands on somebody for that is kind of crazy. They're married though, right? It don't matter if you're fucking married or not, bro. That's my money. I don't care. Like, that's still my shit. Like, you gotta ask me before like you do stuff like that. How would you feel if I'm your wife? Or okay, pause. I'm a guy. How would you feel if how would you feel if I basically was going out with you, right? Pause. And we're Tyrant, you and me were married, right? Let's just say we're Kappa priding. We're married. How would you feel if I took your card, your credit card that's in your name and you didn't know and I fucking bought something with it? I took your money from your credit card in your name without your consent, bought something, and you're just like, you'd be pissed as fuck. Yeah, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if we're married or not. You'd be pissed. But you're out here saying, why though? They're married. I don't think I'd have any legal recourse because we're married. I'd be fucking mad. Sure, maybe it's legal because we will both share the funds, but like, that's a matter of trust, bro. That's still a matter of trust.
그 다음 날에 30몇만 원짜리
A dishwasher and vinyl.
2만 원짜리.
Infiltration.
It's just 320,000 won. Bro.
나왔다. 그리고 덱이 그 다음 날에 30몇만 원짜리 스키 세척기랑 비닐을 구매했어요.
32만 원짜리.
how is your excuse? It's just 320,000 won though, bro. Nearly 4 million of his won got fucking juiced. Yeah, 300,000. That's 30K, bro. That's FGC money right there, man. That shit is not coming back. But I don't know about putting hands on nobody for that though, unless they put hands on me first. But that's crazy.
Up until now, Panda Global, Capcom, and the relevant parties have been the only ones able to view the legal documents in full. Take a wild guess who happens to have a 662-page PDF with all of that and more. This guy.
You thought Capcom was the only one with the files? Of course Technical's got the files. Of course he got the files, man. Let's go, baby. Clap it up. Clap it up. Clap it up. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
My immediate thought after only reading Panda Global's summary was that with the threats of accusations and the premeditated nature of the audio recording, it would be impossible to rule out any foul play. Anyone could just say out loud what's happening, but a picture is worth 1,000 words. I know I'm kind of playing the devil's advocate here, but there's also a small part of me that wonders how there's 22 pages of transcribed dialogue from someone yelling about how they're being choked. From my experience, you can't really talk when your trachea is being crushed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
However, that's not to say that what the evidence does show isn't a serious problem. There's threats and intimidation like, I'm gonna kill you, or should I strangle you until you stop crying? That even if he didn't actually do it, and it was just yelling in the heat of the moment,
that still could be
likely
incriminating.
To intervention on its own.
That's still incriminating. Like even if he didn't do it, him saying it is still a problem.
Of course, there is also a language and cultural barrier here, so I can't confidently discern their argument anyways. I can't trust Google Translate.
Yeah, just saying that you would do something like that, that's enough. That's enough for people to be like, yo, like we gotta investigate. Right? Like just making the threat alone is crazy.
That even if he didn't actually do it, and it was just yelling in the heat of the moment, it would rightfully constitute intervention on its own. It's pretty worrisome.
Fourth degree assault. Yep.
Then certainly some lengthy marriage counseling. Of course, there is also a language and cultural barrier here, so I can't confidently discern their argument anyways. I can't trust Google Translate for everything, which I'll admit has made this case quite the headache. But if we take into account the results of the criminal case, the ex-wife's medical report, the full audio transcript, and the rebuttals from each party's legal team, I think the most likely scenario is that Infiltration was afraid she would report him for assault, and use him breaking stuff like his keyboard in their previous argument over finances and divorce as her primary evidence. When she called the police, he quickly snatched her phone, hung up, and attempted to erase anything incriminating. Utilizing his superior strength, he restrained her wrist for a prolonged period, resulting in the reported inflammation. And the desperate struggle to retrieve her phone prompted further preventative measures such as pressing down on her or the contentious chokehold. Although this may have been in response to her allegedly scratching and hitting him, which is the story he tells, but even pieces of the transcript illustrate this potential scenario. Like on page 9 where he says, "Hey look, you're suddenly assaulting me. Hey, think about it. Calm down and think about it." She responds, "You're assaulting me right now. You too. Report me now. Report me. Let's each report."
Bro, she was putting hands on him too, but Infiltration's doing way more. Hold on. Run that back.
Further preventative measures such as pressing.
Is this really what happened?
Superior strength, he restrained her wrist for a prolonged.
Yeah, it sounds like, I agree, Tyrant. It sounds like they're both trying to get each other locked up.
However, if he were to have choked her to the degree exclaimed in this transcript or in the public allegations, it would materialize in either the medical report or a more severe criminal charge.
Yeah, because the medical report didn't have anything regarding like her having bruising around like her neck, right? Nothing around her neck, nothing around like the part where the choking would occur. It was just like small bruises on her body and mostly on her wrist. Yeah, both medical and criminal report aside, like if you look at the conviction or whatever, it wasn't even a sentence of like a year or whatever. It was just a fine. At the end of the day, it's like what they're saying actually happened where like he choked her, because it just doesn't sound like that's the case. It just sounds like maybe there was like a small tussle. But then why would like Infiltration just grab her though? Because again, it's probably to get the phone out of her hand, right? Because I think that was mentioned before. Probably restrain her from scratching him. That too, because she was scratching him based on Infiltration's reports. She was scratching him and punching him. Yeah, her throat is not even mentioned in any of the medical stuff.
Visit a day later, and he got the lightest charge possible. That would mean that while injuries did occur, this was caused by grappling over his ex-wife's phone and not a torturous exhibition of physical violence as others have insinuated. When someone says a beating occurred, you normally assume at least a single punch or kick was thrown. The literal definition is an act of striking with repeated blows so as to injure or damage. I wouldn't necessarily call holding and restraining someone a beating, but obviously any kind of unwanted physical contact and even spitting on someone can legally be categorized
as assault.
As an assault.
Yeah.
That's accurate. I know I'm already in a jumpsuit, but I hope it's very clear that while I make these distinctions based on available evidence and definitions, I know, crazy concept, it doesn't mean I agree with what happened. I just need to know what did first. That's what investigating is. It was in the title when you clicked on the video. And our little Redditor friend isn't making my job any easier.
All right, that's it.
Get off of me! Get off of me! Get Alan's charge was certainly complicated to navigate. I noticed the author was starting to get sloppy. He claimed Infiltration beat his ex-wife and broke her stuff even before the situation outlined in the criminal case from October, because he lost at Evo. This is not substantiated nor elaborated upon at any point. However, there is a case I found that he might be confusing it with.
저와 김양리는 2017년 6월에 말다툼이 있었습니다. 이 다툼 도중 화가 난 김양리가 에보라는 대회에서의 우승 트로피 2개를 바닥에 던져 부셔버렸던 일이 있었죠.
Yo, she threw... Nah. This girl is crazy. This girl is crazy. Took my money without my consent and then breaking my trophies, bro? You're breaking my fucking trophies? Oh, nah. What a hork slander, goofy ass. No, bro. No violence, bro. I'd be pissed, though. I would be fucking pissed. Not the FGC legacy trophies. That's what I would be pissed, bro. This is financial abuse. 1000%. It's definitely financial abuse. You know how much it costs to get a Evo trophy? That's recipe for a drive impact. That's grounds for me breaking up with you. Walls of Jericho. No, that's grounds for me breaking up with you. If you break my stuff and you steal my money, no, that's grounds for me breaking up with you. That's severe trust issues. I could not have that in my life. I could not have that in my life. I think Infiltration probably wanted to leave the relationship, and she probably didn't want that to happen.
Show his ex-wife apologizing after he says she accidentally did something wrong and that he's sending her photos and videos of the trophy that she broke. His version of events is that he knocked some stuff off a shelf and in retaliation, she broke the trophy. However, in her counterclaim for the defamation suit, she claimed that he dropped it in frustration while attempting to threaten her and she was simply trying to avoid escalation. Not quite sure who's in the right here. He could have broken it, or she did. But despite everything I could find, while it's true that stuff was in fact broken, I'm not seeing any verdict that would suggest a full-on beating from anyone. A dropped trophy and some random shit on the floor, sure. But an assault? That onus would be on the accuser to prove.
Yes.
They did not. Our investigator said that he was probably trying to get rid of her and take her condo and assets. Does your investigator have a degree in Netflix? Where the fuck did that come from? In light of this ingenious theory crafted out of thin air, I'm gonna go ahead and take a wild guess that your investigators are just you, and that you watch far too much CSI Miami.
Our investigators said that he was probably trying to get rid of her and take her condo and assets. Why would Infiltration try to get rid of her? Like, she's literally taking money from him. That doesn't make any sense. We already established before that she took money from him for like a dishwasher and other things and like a vinyl. Why would he want her dead? That doesn't make any sense.
But before we unmask the vigilante Redditor, there's a few more claims we need to speed through. First off, the claim about Infiltration fabricating expense reports is shut down almost immediately.
Yeah.
The agency consultant for Razor, Markman, denied the accusation in the same thread, stating,
Back when Mark was working for or working with Razor, I don't know if he still does. Yeah, no. He wasn't embezzling money. No way.
frankly,
He was
that
jumping from
he did not
sponsors.
commit fraud while sponsored. Despite claiming to have proof and that they were willing to talk, this was ultimately never discussed anywhere outside of their email to David Wu in July. They stated that Infiltration was booking and canceling hotels and flights and photoshopping receipts to Razor in order to reimburse himself for non-existent purchases. This evidence, among everything else, was accredited to the work of unnamed private investigators. Correct me if I'm mistaken, but I don't think even the best PIs have the legal jurisdiction or know-how to obtain first-hand email confirmations of bookings, screen recordings of someone's devices with private messages, or personal email chains to sponsors like what was attached here.
Yeah, private investigators are no way like godlike enough to just grab your actual information from your phone, bro. What I mean by that is there's no way in hell that they're gonna actually have screenshots or like be in the same vicinity. That doesn't make any sense. That part to me was the fishy part, was the private investigators. Like, how are you gonna say you got private investigators to get this proof when like half of this proof is literally like straight up screen caps? Yeah, the information is very unattainable unless you knew Infiltration. Technical's probably gonna say it because he's going in deep. But at the time, I know for a fact you could not have a private investigator legally in South Korea because they were considered illegal.
Like what was attached here. In fact, it wasn't even legal to consider yourself a private detective in Korea until 2020. This happened in 2018.
Yeah, that part was like, something doesn't seem right here. How do you have all this information and you say you have investigators?
And then, they were still prohibited from collecting evidence in criminal and civil cases, banned from collecting evidence for cases under investigation, and from gathering information to prove cheating of a spouse in order to protect the privacy of citizens. They're mostly errand boys for missing children. If you're a Smash player, write that one down. That might come in handy.
Brother.
Bearing in mind that they would have had to violate almost every single restriction in Korean law to obtain this information, unless you hired a very well-connected and illegal detective agency, I don't think you hired a PI at all. You're either Infiltration's ex-wife or in direct contact with her. But we'll find that out soon enough. Revisiting the Reddit post, he also claims that after the first restraining order was lifted on November 3rd, Infiltration went to her house again, destroyed her stuff, and beat her again. He refers to this as the second assault charge. I actually have the summary order from case 10532 that he lists here as evidence, and it's just a damage to property case, not an assault charge like the last one. The citation only reflects a fine for when Infiltration hired a locksmith who dismantled her electronic lock to retrieve his belongings after the passcode was changed. This occurred mainly because she wouldn't allow him back into their apartment unless he agreed to be in a relationship and continued paying bills.
Be in a relationship with me or you can't get your stuff. Bro, that's blackmail, bro. What the fuck? This sounds like a fucking K-drama. What the hell?
According to those same text messages, she wouldn't be at home when he planned to arrive, and warned him about forcing open the door. I don't know how he possibly managed to beat her when she wasn't even there, and as her attorney later stated, would have been at work by the time he returned with the locksmith.
Oh, brother, get owned. There's no way that I could actually fucking beat you again at your house if you're not even at the house, you were at work, and you changed the locks on the door so he couldn't even get in. Come on. Nah, that's a reach.
5, but your guess is as good as mine.
That's some shit. That's some shit.
Before and after this event, his ex-wife continued to text and call him several times, allegedly visited outside of his parents' house, which he referred to as stalking.
오히려 김영리는 오후 7시경에 부모님 집에 멋대로 찾아오는 스토커 같은 모습을 보인 날이었습니다.
And repeatedly told him how much she missed and loved him, to which he replied, "Please stop calling me." That is, until they eventually met up around Christmas. Remember that little detail, because this will become very important later. Last but not least, Infiltration was accused of hiding his assets to avoid paying his criminal fines, and that he was attending a tournament to avoid the second trial. Never mind the fact that the Redditor already acknowledged his attorney would be there, and he isn't required to show up anyways.
That's why I said you gotta vet everything. You can't just believe what some fuck says on the internet. Even if they have like some documents, you can't just be, oh, well, I automatically believe you. Like, I wonder what the motive is. Maybe the guy just didn't like Infiltration. Not to say that Infiltration didn't do anything wrong. Legally, assault happened, but not in the way that was described. It didn't seem like somebody got choked out. It just seemed like somebody had like some small bruising on their wrist. I mean, technically assault did occur, but not in the dramatic way that the Redditor is making it out to be.
Alright, so this fine of $20,000 is based on literally nothing. Neither the assault charge nor the damage to property case comes even close to 20 million won. But if it were true that Infiltration was hiding $930 worth of assets under a different name to avoid paying his ex-wife, in the mediation record for their division of property case over their joint apartment, she was ordered to pay him 98 million won, or approximately 90 to 100,000 USD by February 28th, 2019. Would have just gone right back into his wallet anyways. Excuse my French, but who gives a shit? Our mystery man is really starting to lose me here. Between the lying about fraud, inaccurate fine payments, embellishing random details, and his somehow impossible acquisition of personal documents and records, there's either a Korean Batman roaming the streets, or we have ourselves an inside collaborator. The evidence that would unveil the elusive co-conspirator came from an unexpected source. 4 days after the infamous thread from criminal Sian-Woo Lee, someone reached out to an ex-girlfriend of Infiltration, who he broke up with in 2013, to hopefully strengthen the mounting case against him.
Oh, so to be like, yeah, she knows she got assaulted by him too or some shit.
A woman that 8 months prior, in early January, also received a DM from his ex-wife.
Oh, no. So they were in contact. Bro, the ex-girlfriend was in contact with the ex-wife. Oh, this is some K-drama shit, bro. This is some K-drama shit. This is some real K-drama shit.
To fully understand the connection between the Redditor and our newly found concerned citizen, let's look at the last sentence of the Reddit post. This is still an ongoing process, and many people are eager to share what they know about Infiltration every day. Whoever wrote this was actively still looking for more.
Yes.
Sometimes at the cost of accuracy, truth, or in this case, their own anonymity. Did I say that right? Anonymity. Anonymity. 3 months after she was contacted, Infiltration's ex-girlfriend sent him a screenshot from Facebook Messenger. Hidden in plain sight was the man behind it all. The emails, threatening DMs alluding to their investigation, and the accounts responsible was none other than his acquaintance and ex-wife's cousin, Charlie O.
Oh, shit. It'd be the closest ones. It'd be the closest ones. That's a plot twist and a half, bro.
Who else could it be? Charlie lived in California and wouldn't have to navigate the hellscape of Korean defamation laws.
Yeah, in California, you know English, talk about things from an American standpoint. You wouldn't have to mention about things in a Korean standpoint. Charlie basically had all of the information and then try to lie and say it was private investigators to cover his ass up.
Live overseas and have all of the evidence. I will send the evidence directly to Panda Global. Not convinced yet? I don't blame you. Being a member of the FGC himself and family to the victim, there's an adequate level of investment to satisfy a motive, and the use of a proxy and VPN would clear his ex-wife of any legal culpability. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that it wasn't him. Unless he's just lying, how could he know that she planned to gather stories on Infiltration to build a case in 2018 for domestic violence and torture that, to my knowledge, doesn't even exist? How did the pseudonym criminal Infiltration know about the screen recordings his ex-wife took of Infiltration's phone during his Christmas visit in 2017? That's right. When he came over for the last time in December, she suspected him of having an affair, and the DM she sent his ex displayed her intimate knowledge of her findings only 2 weeks later. She also confessed to this invasion of privacy during a police interrogation, because she felt deceived into having relations with him after seeing the notification from another woman pop up on his phone.
Yo. So she was jealous. She was thinking that Infiltration was in an affair.
However, that doesn't quite explain why she chose to record other group chats like Korea FGC. Consequently, the verdict from the Seoul Southern District Court fined her 1 million won for the violation of privacy.
Yeah, because you're violating his privacy. You're taking information without consent. But like at the same time, yo, Infiltration?
But these screenshots were only submitted to a family court for their division of property mediation, which was a private and ongoing case. And as we already know, it would have been illegal for any so-called private investigator to retrieve this information.
Right.
Meaning that the only way her screenshots could end up in a Panda Global manager's inbox is if she sent it, leaked it, or had an accomplice. If you look at the record from that case, she was being ordered to pay Infiltration around $100,000 for the apartment. Couple that with a slap on the wrist for his violence charge, the fact that she was now snooping around for more stories, and add a sprinkle of passion as the cherry on top, and you now have plenty of evidence to establish a clear motive. Which might also explain how some random Redditor gained access to Infiltration's private expense reports and contracts.
Yo, dog.
Oh man.
Yo. So they basically they screwed him over. They screwed him over by taking a lot of his like DMs and everything, and then just sending it to Panda Global and every other like FGC thing. And if it wasn't for those documents, right, like he would still be in the scene. To be fair, like it still doesn't change that he was charged with that stuff, but I guess he gotta control his anger, bro. That's ultimately what it is. He gotta control his anger. Things would have went a little differently, but they were screwing with him, bro. They were screwing with him. But the fact that she was snooping around in all of his stuff is kind of OD. Yeah, they went to Korea FGC, they went to Panda Global, and then they just leaked all this information on him.
So just to recap, in total, this completely anonymous person had private contracts, documents, and receipts, an audio recording of the domestic dispute that wouldn't be accessible through public case filings, and screenshots of Infiltration's phone. But the leaker wants us to believe that all of the information was gathered by illegal private investigators and her close friends.
Illegal private investigators.
Nothing to do with it. Call me crazy, but I kind of find that hard to believe. However, what really bothers me is the last line of Charlie's Facebook inquiry to Infiltration's ex-girlfriend. It reads, "A number of girls who were mistreated by him is willing to speak up." This was of course an attempt to convince her that she wasn't alone, but out of all the information to date, there's only one woman who's ever spoken out against Infiltration, that being his ex-wife. If there were more willing to speak up, then why haven't they 6 years later? Now, it's very possible they just got cold feet, or the more likely explanation is that in Charlie's desperate hunt to expose every whisper and rumor he could get his hands on, he yet again jumped the gun and presented a false pretense in order to persuade a testimony, hoping that the evidence would conveniently follow the accusation.
Crazy.
The latter of which would really put the ethics of this investigation into question. Infiltration was already charged with a crime of violence and for destruction of property. Why would she be double dipping almost a year later after their separation and attempting to use other people's stories to do it? Since Charlie never posted an update on this alleged case and no news of it exists over half a decade later, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that this wasn't for a lawsuit at all. This was an attempt to use the momentum from the Reddit post to compile more stories against Infiltration, resulting in the perfect storm that would end his career.
Yeah, to smear him.
Fortunately, much to their disappointment, they didn't find anything. So that was the end of it. This isn't to say that Infiltration is an innocent man. That's not my job.
Yeah, there's a lot of things here that say Infiltration isn't innocent. He still assaulted her. Not in the way in which people think. He bruised her wrist, and they had like a little tussle because she was punching and scratching him, so he was just trying to push her back. That in and of itself is a key difference, is the fact that there was no choking involved. There was no medical reports showing that there was damage to her throat, and based on the police findings, yeah, he definitely still assaulted her though. Like if we're talking the legality of it, he definitely still assaulted her. I think the whole Panda Global Korea FGC thing, that stuff it didn't need to be involved. It was just to smear his name, because to be honest with you, would you really care about the private affairs of one man? Right? You wouldn't have known. And to be fair, like, if now that we know the truth, you would look at it and be like, it's relationship shit. The same shit that happened with the Guilty Gear Strive stuff. To be fair, the Guilty Gear Strive stuff is worse because that's actual sexual assault. But I don't know. I what I'm trying to say is there's always like a gray area in between with the legal system, right? Because you have the black letter law, and then you have what actually is happening, right? I'm not saying that what Infiltration did was right. What he did was wrong. But the severity of what he did was portrayed in a very sensational and exaggerated light on social media and to esport organizers than it was in actuality.
Obviously, the guy was charged with a crime. His verbal abuse and the physical struggle over his ex-wife's phone is well documented and deserves its fair share of scrutiny. But I believe that in this new age of information, a man should be condemned for what he's done, not by a construct of his peers' wishful thinking. And therein lies the real reason why I'm here. I know very well that the thrill of an investigation and personal biases can often blind one to objectivity, where rumor becomes fact, hearsay remains unquestioned, and excerpts are cherry-picked at whim. But the beauty of litigation is its tendency to cut through the bullshit and lay everything on the table, reminding us of the simple truth that people and the relationships between them are far more nuanced than we care to admit. And while the truth might not have been as sensational as Charlie had hoped, it ultimately achieved its goal. Infiltration sponsors had no choice but to drop him, as he was now labeled a wife-beater and a liability in the same stroke, losing the comfy six-figure job that most could only ever dream of, and thus marking the beginning of his complete and total ban from every major event in the fighting game community.
Match fixing. Okay, the match fixing, I want to hear about this. Something like this makes more sense to ban someone over than their personal lives, bro. Like, something that's in their personal relationships. That's why I'm saying it's just heavily exaggerated online. And it was, you could tell that from all the information, it was just meant to smear him even further. I mean, what he still did was wrong, so he's going to take punishment for it.
The second strike came in a familiar package. Keep in mind that Infiltration wouldn't be officially banned by Capcom until June of 2022 for reasons we'll discuss later. But on Monday, March 22nd, 2021, he'd first have to respond to accusations of match fixing in his own tournament. In 2020, around the time he returned from his suspension, Infiltration moved his Twitch stream to a website called Africa TV, which is like the South Korean equivalent of Twitch.
들려드릴 내용인즉슨 제가 아프리카 TV 단독 송출만을 목적으로 이제 방송 플랫폼을 옮기게 됐습니다.
They were offering large sums of money to fund his tournaments if he chose to stream on their website. So with a new contract in hand and what seemed like a second chance, he set out to expand the reach of fighting games for the entire Korean community. With tournaments for games like Grand Blue Fantasy Versus and Street Fighter V having consistent prize pools, the KFGC looked like it was entering a new era of prosperity. So it's ironic that only when they decided to share their wealth with the less fortunate, that everything came crashing down.
Oh, brother.
As 2021 rolled around, Infiltration wanted to try his hand at running beginner-only tournaments. The Grand Blue tournament came and went like any other, and it almost seemed like Street Fighter would be no different. Cue the next morning when all hell breaks loose. The Redditor UO1K called into question the legitimacy of the winner of the Street Fighter beginner tournament. You see, this tournament was specifically capped off for Ultra Bronze ranked players and under, so others felt like the champion was a little too good to be true. He showed a clip of their advanced corner pressure from the tournament.
Poison. Of course. Poison.
Taking rounds off.
Oh, I love this character so much. Broken ass character. I love her so much.
Of an Ultimate Grandmaster in a casual lobby, public chats between Infiltration and the player where they discuss his apparent skill and how he'd need to rank up to fit in.
I recommend you do it in advance. How many times do I have to do it before it's possible? If you're a rookie, anyone can tell that you're at least gold level. I can't cover that.
And how he simply stopped playing ranked matches to stay within the required limit for entry, which some would refer to as smurfing. I honestly don't think this would have gotten as big as it did, had it not been for Infiltration immediately after going on a rant about his detractors following this criticism.
방구석에 앉아가지고 그냥 손가락 놀리는 새끼들이 격투 게임판을 위해서 아무것도 한 게 없는 새끼들이, 일단 냉정하게 말해볼게. 내가 해외대회 나가서 졸라 열심히 하고 성적 내고 영향력 만들고 그래가지고 아프리카가 컨택해주고.
Oh nah, he got tight.
함께 고생해가지고 조금 커뮤니티에다가 뭔가 좀 할 수 있지 않을까 해서 노력하니까 그거를 개병신 새끼 지랄하네 프로게이머라는 새끼가 주작질하고 정치질하고 지들끼리만 놀고 이딴 소리를 해?
Like a mansion in
No, he got mad. Oh no, he got mad, bro. Let me watch more of this before I even come to a conclusion.
In California, the new headache.
They didn't want bad PR, so they got rid of him. Because obviously there was drama after just that first tournament. Oh, the classic. I'm good at one game, but I'm not really good at another.
Routinely hang out and participate in Infiltration's community Discord.
I'm gonna be honest. First of all, when we consider vanilla Grand Blue versus and Street Fighter 5, both games are somewhat similar, right? Because they're grounded. So I could understand, like somebody transferring their skills from Grand Blue and then they're like somewhat good at Street Fighter, because that game was much slower than Rising, which is now like super aggro. But let me keep hearing this.
Advice.
He's just telling him, hey, this is the bracket.
All the evidence shows is that Infiltration talked about the bracket beforehand. There's no fucking evidence of any bracket manipulation. I think Infiltration noticed the potential player A had and wanted to avoid this exact scenario.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards what Technicals is saying. I do think in tournaments where you have to cap off skill, it's very arbitrary because you don't know the true nature of the player. Like, hell, in our fucking guess the rank videos that we just did, right? Like, we can't even tell if someone's a fucking Diamond 5 or a Diamond 1 in Street Fighter or a Gold 5 or whatever. People have tried to do this type of like beginner level tournaments. Ultimately, it's hard to make them consistent or proper because you can never vet or tell truly if someone's a beginner or not. Even so, like even if it says like they're like a super bronze or super rookie or whatever the fuck, right? It's very difficult to vet that when you don't know. You don't know the full skill level of the individual. In this case, this guy is pretty good, right? You probably shouldn't have let him play, but I don't think it was done on purpose. I don't think he was purposely trying to get this person to be first place or whatever. And even then, in the rules, they wouldn't be able to play again, right? I remember reading that earlier in the video. I was reading it, and it said, I just know that when I saw the rules, it definitely mentioned that they can't play again if they won.
Had Of course, it's not nothing, and sure, this isn't like an ideal scenario, and we can definitely criticize the execution. But you'd think Infiltration stole from a homeless shelter the way these people talk about it.
Why is the FGC I grew up on so shady, man? People like Infiltration I thought were funny and cool growing up during the early to mid 2010s, but he's such a piece of shit ever since his abuse allegations came out a couple years ago, not even contesting charges, and now this. I never really liked these type of users on Twitter. I never liked them on Twitter.
about it. It was a sponsor-funded event, and the money would have gone to some random guy who just bought Street Fighter and would never enter again. But if you
exactly. Like, you're acting, this person is acting like...
And sure, this isn't like an ideal scenario, and we can definitely funded event, besides the...
Let's go back to the tweet, bro. I'm sorry, bro.
Oh man.
I'm sorry, bro. You are not gonna fucking sit here and be like he's robbing everybody blind and shit, bro. You're not even playing in it. You're not even playing in the tournament. You're like in America. You're not even playing in the tournament.
Guy.
Yeah, and it's not even his money, bro. It's not even their money, bro. It's the fucking sponsors' money. It's not even their money. It's not even the fucking the players' money.
Enter Squid Game. Just kidding. What I meant to say was, Player A and Infiltration have both issued an apology for how things ended in a recent upload to his YouTube channel.
안녕하세요. 저는 초보자 토너먼트 당시 우승했던 A라고 합니다. 제가 3년 전에 디스코드의 채널에 남긴 경솔한 발언으로 인해 많은
Miscommunication.
하게 만들었습니다.
Classic.
늦었지만
Classic FGC. Miscommunication leads to everybody being pissed baby rage mad at you. Of course. I know how that feels all too well.
지금이라도 여러분들에게 오해를 불러일으킨 점 진심으로 사과드립니다.
이처럼 A는
It is always the ones who don't play the game.
점을 사과하고 있습니다. 그리고 이제는 제 차례입니다. 제가 미숙했고 감정적인 모습을 보였고 후속 대처 또한 좋지 않았습니다. 만약 여러분들이 저의 사과를 받아주시지 않더라도 겸허하게 받아들이겠습니다. 앞으로 같은 실수를 반복하지 않는 행동으로 보여드리도록 하겠습니다. 진심으로 죄송합니다.
Racism?
Oh boy. I'm probably gonna get hit with this one too after that Squid Game joke, but thankfully, I'm not going pro anytime soon. This entire section can be summed up in a clip, so I'm just gonna show you what he said.
So, I can say that N-word, I can say the F-word to you, because when say me, oh motherfucker, you eat rice? You eat rice? You eat kimchi every day?
Yeah, I censored it. You want to hear it yourself? Go
Thank you.
Look it up.
Thank you for censoring it, bro.
So you're telling
Thank you for censoring it. I'm not trying to get fucked, bro. Thank you.
Tell me the guy from South Korea who speaks English as a second language and literally can't even talk to me without an interpreter present.
We have the interview that you guys have been waiting for. I am joined with Infiltration and our interpreter, Mr. Burnout Fighter.
I am here with Infiltration and Burnout Fighter, who is going to translate.
To the audience that's listening, we also have his translator here, Will, and I'm just grateful to have both of you guys here.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Explained the non-derogatory use of slurs in a casual setting among friends. And I, as a fellow African myself, am supposed to be upset.
Can he say the N-word? No. What? Why would he even feel comfortable with saying...
Is this Big Nasty Kale, bro? The jury player? Oh, no. Oh, no, not Big Nasty Kale. Who gets to say the N-word? Oh, this discussion, bro. You don't get the pass. You get the pass? No, you don't get the pass. Oh, brother, this conversation, bro. Personally, you know, it's crazy too, because we just had that VTuber shit that happened a while ago with Inconsiderate Raccoon, right? This N-word topic, bro, like, is just, it's so annoying. It's super annoying because it's like, you can't really speak about it because of the optics. And then it's like, we'll watch Twitch streamers like fucking Kai Cenat say the N-word and shit. Who is this?
Peace and take care. Say what you want to say in the comments. I don't care.
However, I think treating the N-word like Voldemort is a very US-centric and silly concept.
Yeah, it is.
Doesn't actually help anyone. If anything, being this unreasonable is going to make people more racist.
Hey, did you just say the N-word? I'm gonna violently assault you now.
Wow, racism cured. Imagine that. Feel free to call me a derogatory slur in response to that, which is not ironic in the slightest.
Peace and take care. Say what you want to say in the comments. I don't care.
Social commentary and memes aside, A lot of people wrongfully attribute Infiltration's ban from Evo, CEO, Combo Breaker, etc. to this Twitch stream. It probably didn't help, and did get him a short ban on Twitch, but it actually happened right after he posted a twitlonger discussing how he was already being rejected and offered a refund for tournaments.
If they care my 2018 cases, why Evo and other other organizers, why they allowed my enter at Evo 2019? Why? This is not fair.
One of his major concerns was the fact that he was never informed of the specific reason for his ban, and they only linked the Code of Conduct page with the insinuation that some infraction must have taken place anywhere between 2019, when he last attended Evo, and the current day.
Which means it was basically when he said the word, bro.
My money would be on the match-fixing story from earlier, but who's to
Oh,
say?
that makes it. The match-fixing story, true.
Sports scene, it could even be as simple as wanting to avoid bad PR following the mass panic from the 2020 Me Too wave of allegations. As far as Capcom, it would almost look like an endorsement of Infiltration if they didn't fall in line with the ban wave. But you could argue him saying the N-word was the perfect scapegoat to enact their agreement from 2018.
True.
And finally issue him that long-awaited lifetime ban. Why else would their official statement only come 2 weeks after the public outrage for separate?
Yeah, they just waited for the right.
Racism.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
never been much of a fan when it comes to a lack of transparency. After all, punishments are meant to set a precedent and curb future undesired behavior. How can you possibly do that if we need to sit here and play a guessing game just to figure out what resulted in Infiltration's lifetime ban?
Didn't Ceroblast say something similar too, bro? And Justin?
From the FGC. Was it the domestic violence case? That can't be right. He still went to multiple major events and received a significant streaming contract with Africa TV. Was it the alleged bracket rigging? I mean, he definitely pissed off a lot of people, so it's possible. Or was it because he said the N-word? 2 years prior, a player known as Ceroblast received a ban for the 2020 season after a clip resurfaced of them using the N-word multiple times. If the intent doesn't matter, which it hardly ever does, I think it's safe to say that, albeit a stupid decision, this was most likely the cause of Infiltration's official Capcom ban.
Yeah, I think that the N-word usage is what caused him to get banned. Yeah. I saw this in 2023 as well. He never did this. Online just destroys reality. It's not the real world. Because in the real world, all that happened was both people got into like a small tussle that wasn't even about like choking or anything like that. And it was just a small argument. And it gets blown to a proportion where it's like, oh man, he's trying to just take all of her assets and kill her on some CSI shit. Like, this was such a good video though. I'm happy I spent the time to watch it. I now am a little more informed of what's going on. I wish Infiltration would get the chance to play again, but that's never going to happen. And I guess that's for good reason. Now with the way things are, you kind of have to control you're going to have to control your like emotions. And it's hard because you get a lot of people doing some fuckery shit. You get a lot of people doing some fuckery shit. Like, the things that happened to Infiltration on the other end is wild, how they smeared his name. But at the same time, like, he did make some very, very questionable decisions. Appreciate you guys for watching my YouTube video. I wanted to just kind of watch this and give my 2 cents on it. And learn with the rest of you guys. And yeah. If you guys want to see more videos like this, definitely leave a like and also subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this. And leave a comment. Let me know. Do you think Infiltration should be allowed to play again? Or do you think what he has done is grounds enough for him not to play again? Now that you know all the information. Let me know. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Y'all be easy. SonicSol out.